Alrighty, good morning, kiddos. We are starting Bible again after 3 weeks of no Bible. I'm going to go ahead and give you this PowerPoint. This is going to be a lesson 73, Esther becomes a queen. We're going to read about Esther from Esther, looks like chapter 1 through 4. I'm going to read this passage to you, and I want you to think about, actually, before we get to that, let's go ahead and go over our memory verse for this week. The memory verse, Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Again, that's Romans 8:28. And we all know, let's try that again. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. And what this means, the principle of it is, if we love God, we will understand that he works out the details of our lives for our good. Okay, let's take a look. So this is the Bible story about Esther. And why did Esther have courage? So I want you to listen to the story and remember that question. Why did Esther have courage? So Esther becomes the queen. Mordecai was living in Jerusalem at the time it was conquered by the Persians, and he was taken captive along with many other Jews. Mordecai now lived in Shushan. He had raised his orphan cousin, Esther, like his own child since she was very young. Esther was very beautiful. King Xerxes married Esther and made her queen. He didn't know that she was a Jew, one of God's chosen people. Mordecai had told her not to tell anyone. One day, as Mordecai sat at the gate of the city, he heard two men plotting to kill the king. He told Esther about the plot, and she told the king. The king's men put these men to death, and the king was grateful to Esther. He also had his men write down the name of Mordecai in the history records kept in the palace. Haman was head of all the princes in the kingdom. He had been given the top position in the king's service. When Haman rode through the city, the people were to bow down to him. One day, he noticed that one Jew sitting at the city gate didn't bow down. It was Mordecai. His refusal to bow made Haman very angry. So Haman made a plan. He went to the king and told the king that there was a group of people that did not obey the king's law. He explained that these people had their own laws, and he got the king to sign a law that all these people should be put to death on a certain day. These people were the Jews, God's chosen people. Haman even offered to pay the men who would kill him. The new law caused all the Jews to be afraid. Mordecai dressed in rags and covered himself with ashes, and no longer sat at the city gate, but fasted, which means he did not eat, and prayed. When Esther heard that Mordecai was fasting and wearing rags, she sent good clothes to him and told him to come eat with her. But Mordecai sent a message back to Esther about Haman's wicked plan to kill the Jews and told her that he had to fast and pray. He also advised her to go to the king and tell him that she too was a Jew, that her life was in danger from Haman's new law. When Queen Esther received Mordecai's request, she became afraid. Everyone knew that if someone went to the king's throne room without an invitation, that person would be killed, no matter who he was. Only the king held out his scepter to the person who could be spared from death. Esther sent a message back to her cousin saying she was afraid to go before the king unless he sent for her. Mordecai replied to Esther that God had probably put her in the position as queen so she could save her people. He told her that if she didn't speak up, God would save his people another way. Esther decided to take Mordecai's advice and prepared to enter the king's throne room without an invitation. She also sent a message for Mordecai to tell all the Jews to fast and pray for her, and she would fast and pray too. So, why did Esther have courage? Because she trusted God. What wicked plan did Haman devise? He got the king to make a law that the Jews would be put to death, all because Mordecai did not bow when he was supposed to. How did this law affect Mordecai and Esther? Since they were both Jews, they would be put to death. But remember, the king married Esther without realizing that she too was a Jew. All right, so we're going to stop there. I would like you to go ahead and complete your pages. It looks like you want to take a look at 107 and 108. Also, don't forget your memory verse. Let's go back to that memory verse real quick. Here it is, Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And again, here's the meaning. If we love God, we will understand that he works out the details of our lives for our good. So let's remember that, kiddos, okay? All right. Have a great day.